All right, I can log out and come back then.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Good, but no, I better stay there. All right, let's leave it like this then.
Yeah, you better stay.
Yeah.
Empress Gotcha. Yo, that's a fact. Here we
That was
go.
nice.
Here we go. Star 106 hits Pleasant Thursday. Good afternoon to each and all, and welcome to another edition of Free Your Mind on a Thursday. Thursday from you here, sweet Emily starts singing. You know what it is. It's all about diving into the local music industry. We got to highlight the who is who, the who's making it, the who's done it, the ones who are still doing it. And of course, today is no exception. But before I tell you who my guest is, I just want to remind you that Free Your Mind is brought to you courtesy of KFC. We are in the middle of Lent and almost to the end, rather. And of course, still time for you to get that Colonel's catch. You can stop on into your nearest KFC location or simply make that order via WhatsApp at 557 3663. Want to say thank you to, of course, the folks that make this possible. Guinness Smooth, thank you so much. Rev, I want to say thank you to Lactogen 3, distributed by Lightborns Trading. Juice It for Life, thank you so much. I want to say big shout out and thank you to the galley at Sunrise, aka Sunrise Cafe number 2, now serving breakfast all day, every day. We got our own Bahamian Denny's, just in case you didn't know, located in the Epic Battery Plaza on Fire Trail Road. Also, got to say thank you, of course, to Discount Distributors and Produce Express. And I'm happy to announce that they have their holiday hours. They're working straight through the holiday from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. So tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, they got you. All right. Located number 45 Carib Road, right off Chesapeake. The freshest fruits, veggies, meats, grocery items, and of course, liquors. Yes, don't forget discount distributed liquors as well. And they got some crazy Easter packages for you. All right. So, with that said, I want to welcome special guests to the show. It's indeed an honor, it's a pleasure, and it's all about reminding Bahamians at large who we are as a people when it comes to our culture. And with that said, I'd like to welcome the legendary, and it ain't no secret, he's a Davis, I'm a Davis. All right, so family, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Empress. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
Man, Gino, come on, man. When you talk about, those stalwarts in the business, those that have paved the way, those that have, continued to build a discography like none other. I couldn't do a show like this and not talk to somebody like yourself. So for all the younglings out there that, they're listening, they're tuning, they're like, that name sounds familiar. Tell us how long it's been since you've been in this business and doing it so well.
And thank you. Like I've been in this business from the 90s. I think my first song was like in around 91, 95. I came out of the scene. By that time, you had like folks like KB, Therese, Funky D, and those guys. They were on the scene. I joined them, and we were like, new breed back then. So I started, back, like I say, in the 90s officially. Yeah, I would say.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So from the 90s to now,
Yeah.
what were you doing before, Gino?
Well, I was working at ZNS um, in the 70s, early 80s. I was employed at ZNS. I always loved the music. I came from a musical family, background, and I was born in Morris Island, Abaco, and I
Hello,
came
hello.
to yeah, I came to Nassau as a young man, like 7 or 8. And like I said, I was always
Okay.
surrounded by music, and so it was in me. So I found myself as a youngster in school, rhyming and stuff like that. When I had free time, making rhythms up on the desk, and and the daydreaming, and like because my family loved the music, I was always surrounded and heard songs, a lot of golden oldie songs, and so I grew up with that around me. So I think that sort of influenced me as well. And the rest is history, like they say. In '90, I'm not sure. My first song was first real song that gained traction was a song called "The Gal Look Good," and it
Mm-hmm.
was produced by Mr. Fred Ferguson along with Chris Stillion, and the executive producer was Sir Greg Burris, who I mean, most people know him as Senator Greg Burris, but he was in the music business back then, and he had a store called Star Treks on Jerome Avenue, and I went there to take some vocals out of a song, and I think I had a song before the guy looked good. It was called "Ooh Girl," and I think somehow he heard the music, and he said, he liked what I'm doing, and he said he would sponsor me a record or produce a song, but it has to be a Bahamian song, right? So
Okay.
back then, KB had a song, a big hit called "Just 'Cause She Fat." I always
Mm-hmm.
tell KB this. I say, "Hey man, kudos to you, bro, because I mean you inspired me to write the first song." So I took sort of a spin off "Just 'Cause She Fat," and I say, "Look, KB's from Abaco. I mean from Andros. I'm from Abaco. You got a fat
Right.
girl." I say, "My girl, shapely." And so it spun off from that, and it became a big hit for me.
Wow. So that gal look good was the official first big hit for you.
Yes, yes, that gal looked good. It took us, in fact, it caught us by surprise. We never thought it was gonna be that big. It caught us by surprise. So, like I say, Greg Burris was the executive producer, and we went to Miami and we produced, the big vinyls for the DJs, and
Sure.
then we brought out a single cassette. Those 4-track cassettes, the
Yeah,
cassettes back then.
way back.
Yeah, and so I started to become popular from then, and other songs came after that, like I remember when and the Garlic, uh, Steiger Lee, and all the others.
Now, when you talk about the hits, what was the process in terms of songwriting for you? Did you, for the most part, write all of your material? Did you have a ghostwriter? Like, what was it like for you?
Well, like I say, I always like as a kid, I always did. I guess you'd call it poetry, like writing.
Okay, so we probably had a little bad connection there. We are going to, we're going to get him reconnected. We got to hear the story. The legends are on today. Yes, indeed. The legend, one of our very own, the one and only Geno D. All right, so keep it locked. I can play a track. He mentioned Stagger Lee. Here it is, right here at the hit station. We are Star 106 Hits.
I was standing on the corner when I heard my bulldog bark. He was barking at the two men who were gambling in the dark. It was the man who gambled exactly 7 minutes for that. Exactly, don't believe I'm
All right, we can do it by phone.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, hold on.
All right, fine.
Yeah, stay right there.
Stetson hats, Staggerly went home and got his waterfall. He said, I'm gonna find this baby that I own. Staggerly,
I got him on the phone. I'm going to do him on the phone.
Staggerly.
Star 106 hits, another big hit for the man Geno D with Stagger Lee. And of course, we got him rejoined with us. So, Geno, I was asking you, how did the inspiration come to write songs? I know some of these are cover tracks, but you started to mention your skill in writing poetry.
Yeah,
So, tell us about it.
yeah. Like I said, as a kid, I wrote a lot of poems, the short poems and like rhyming and stuff like that. In fact, I would make up a song of what my lunch, you know. Like I remember as a little song I attended Highway High at the time, which is like Orange Billy now. So I'll do something like this as a kid. All right, let's take it back. corn chips and ice cream, right? So I'd be on the desk and say, get some Fritos corn chips, roll them in the ice cream. Ice cream make them tasty. You get them from Mr. Hasty. And then I was like, that's something came to me. I love ice cream and corn chips, right?
Man, Geno, please don't tell me you still eat Fritos and ice cream, though.
No, I haven't tried it, but as a kid, for some reason, it tasted good.
That little salt to the sweet.
Yeah, it tastes pretty good. So that was me, making up rhymes. And then what happened is like, I loved music. In fact, like getting back to my family background, I had like my uncles. In fact, I had three uncles who were involved in music. One was the bass player, deceased now, a keyboard player, deceased. And my uncle now, some folks may know him, his name is Ron Dames. He's he do a lot of work in Freeport with the Junior Achievers. And he's like a alto sax player. The cousin was a drummer, so he had all the genres of music and like all the instruments sort of covered. So that's my background, man. And like I guess I couldn't help it. Like I said, my parents, my mom and dad, they always played Golden Oldies through the house. So I grew up listening to like Otis Redding and Sam Cooke and all those guys like that. Also influenced by later on Ronnie Butler and Smokey 007. I can recall as the Bahamian and Tony McKay and Tony Seymour.
Gee.
Yeah.
What was it like when you finally met these people and started to work alongside them?
Man, I had the privilege, of meeting like all those guys' names I called you. It was like I met Smokey 007, I met Tony Seymour, I met J. Vincent was still here, I met Smokey 007. So it was a privilege. The story of Smokey 007. It was a little club on Sawyer Road called Family Island Lounge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was big time a couple years ago. And Smokey was playing there. And so, I and a friend, we went there. And, like I said, I love to be around live music. And he was singing a song. And he said, anybody in the audience want to help me sing it? That's Smokey. Anybody want to help me sing this song? And me being a young teenager, I said, me. And he said, come on up here. Give me the mic. And I think it was Tell All Right Love on.
You gone to town.
Yeah. So he said, hey, man, I got to watch this young man here. It's like, that was a privilege, for Smokey 007 to acknowledge that, I had some talent.
That's a moment.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, some folks will remember years later at an independence celebration, I was on the ticket, and during my performance, I went down into the audience, and like Ron Sims, the stage manager, was like, Geno, where you going, boy? But the thing is, I saw Smokey 007 in the audience. And what I did, right? And I had to do it. I mean, I know Mr. Sims I blew his top when I did it, right? But I think I explained it to him and he understood afterwards. It's like when I saw Smokey in the audience. In fact, I saw him before I went to the park on TV. So I was like, hey, man, that's Smokey, man. Well, that's my boy. They should be bigging him up.
That's right.
So when I got my chance to, like I say, perform, I went down there. And I give the mic to Smokey. Even though he was wasn't how Smokey was, but he could acknowledge, what was happening, because later on in life, the brain thing, I think.
Right.
Yeah. But I did it. And symbolically to me, it meant so much to me, even though nobody understood what I was doing. In fact, that story I told you earlier, when he gave me the mic in Family Island Lounge, that was my way of saying, hey, man, I'm returning the baton to you and thank you.
Sure.
And so when I explained it, then they understood. I met Tony Seymour, not when he was really active, but I met him after he had sort of retired. And I also met Tony McKay, the Obeah man, but Ronnie Butler, I was close to him, closer than most people realize.
Oh, wow.
So I went down and I freaking him where he lived in his town, and we talked, and like I said, we were closer than people realize. So he was influential. In fact, I used to watch Ronnie Butler play in the Ronnie Rebel Room as a worker at ZNS. We had this show called An Evening with. And Mr. Tony Williams
he could attest to that.
Yeah, he can attest to that. And I also worked with him. I was talking about Mr. Tony Williams, and I think he's a genuine person and real better.
Sure.
He showed me a lot of love for the music. And like I say, he's a no-nonsense guy who's going to play quality music.
Yeah, you better believe that.
I worked with him at ZNS, not only at ZNS, but in the past, we had a show called On Stage, which he hosted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think it was Tony and I'm correct, Sophie at one point. I hope I'm correct.
I can ask. I'm gonna definitely find out.
I think it was Tony. Yeah. He had a show called one of the first private companies to produce a show and On Stage at the Palace, where I used to go and watch Snapshot with guys like Pat Carey, Anthony Lovely Nose, and Monks, all of that, Jeffrey Shea. These guys used to play in the Palace, owned by Al
Crowley. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had this talent show. And, I was in love with music, man, wherever a band was, because, like, during that era, bands used to be all over the place, all over the hotels, parties, and so I frequented these places, and just a live band meant so much to me. And I ended up, like, having, like, 2 live bands earlier. I used to go to the Palace, and they had this talent show. And, one day I decided, at that time I learned the guitar. A lot of people don't know that I also play the guitar. In fact, I played the guitar staggeringly, and I played the guitar on my most recent, one of the recent songs, Golden Oldies Medley, as I'm trying to push now. But, I went, my talent was, hey, man, I'm going to play the guitar. All right? So back then I was like, I loved like Jimi Hendrix, right? So I tried to play.
Oh, wow.
We went up there. Played a big guitar. Ding as we fingers and the shades of faces and ding. So the people was like, hey, where's this dude coming from? Man, he playing rock.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Pod carrying the guys, I didn't play. But I guess they saw some talent in me, right? So they say, hey man, I like you. But and they give me some advice. He said, what to do, Geno, is like learn the top 40 song, right? And come back. He said, we practice on Thursdays. If you want to practice with the band, he said, learn the top 40 song, anything that's popular. So at the time, there was a song by Terrence Trent D'Arby called
Sign Your Name.
Mm-hmm. Sign your name across my heart. Yeah, so what I did, I learned that song. I went to the Palace to rehearsal. I said, hey, man, I want another song. They found the key. We did it. They were like, hey, man, you sound great, Yeah. So, man, the rest is history. I've been winning, like, I won so much of that song that there was a guy, I think, that Bud Cambridge. He said, man, don't end it this week, man. That's somebody else with this thing. I mean, I sang that from my soul because that's my style too. I love like Sam Cooke and Terrence.
Exactly.
That's the sort of Sam Cooke soul feeling. Yeah.
Well, Geno, we can take a quick break right here. This is just so interesting. We getting the in-depth story as to who Geno D is right here, free of mind on a Friday. Or Friday feeling, kind of feel like Friday. You know what I'm saying? Of course, on a Thursday, right here on your hit station, we are Star 106 Hits.
Brought to you by Shield Insurance.
Get a look at traffic now today.
All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 commercials and traffic to do. So you got a good 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
2.5 minutes. But we're still live on Facebook. So people are commenting and they can still hear us. Okay. This one, Saga read because you went on it with me. This one say Geno is an original. This one say, oh, how I love me some Geno D. This one says live bands is what tourists came here for. We're going to talk about the difference next in the industry then versus as you're still a standing member in it, how it differs today and what's missing.
Yeah.
That's where we're going next.
Okay. Yeah, thanks to folks for the comment.
Yeah, man, they I know, and things are so different now. COVID, we gotta talk all about that. All about that. So, Geno, hold on now. You just called one name a while ago, and I trying to figure out I think when I first met you back in '06, my Grammy is a Dames. Okay. And of course, my grandfather is Davis, and they from Sandy Point. So I know we related. Ain't no two ways about it. But that's the two right there. My Grammy is a Davis, and my granddaddy is Davis. That's what I'm saying. I didn't realize that you were from the Dame side as well. Yeah, well, child, well, I lost my dad a couple years now, but I remember him telling me who your people are and the fact that they where we are related. I can't tell you now because he had to remind me the names and tell me who is who. But yeah, I didn't. That's it. Here's a that. Yeah, Sandy Point Grandma Dames was from my granny. My grandmother was from Crossing Rock. She was from Crossing Rock. So yes, a Davis is a Davis once you from Abaco, son. Yeah. Oh, that's another story. That's another topic for another day. My goodness. But the old man spent lots of time in fishing in Moss Island. Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh huh. Right. Ah, here we go. 50-inch LED smart TV every month. Come and enjoy a variety of smoothies, juices, salads, sandwiches, and wraps, and build up with our countless supplements. Choose with us and win. Star 106.5. Nassau's home for new hit music. Star 106 hits, boy, listen to me. We don't have all the time intended and what we need to hear the true stories of the music industry as we know it and the people that have been such an integral part of this industry, like today's guest, the one and only my good cousin, Geno D. Geno, you mentioned and you were talking about before we took the break, you were talking about what the industry was like when you were coming up. You know, one thing that stands out in all that you said was the fact that there were so many outlets for live music and the importance of live music. How does it differ today for you?
Oh man, it's like compared to back then, it's like I mean, no comparison. You know, because like you talking about live bands like all over the island, Paradise Island. You know, the strips. I mean, I was in around and the real heyday of all these Silver Slip and stuff like that. But I heard about them.
Right.
Like, but when I was doing the club scene, it's like Paradise Island, every hotel. You know, I grew up in the area where every major hotel had a live band in the lobby and also in the discotheque.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
But hold on. With that said, do you think that was what made the industry really grow versus today where there are not many outlets? I see, and shouts out to those that are trying to build these outlets because they realize the importance of it. But do you think that's what really kept it going?
Oh yes, man. And see, you know what? This COVID-19 pandemic is going to cause us to appreciate what it's authentically being. It's going to cause us to go back to basics, and it shows us that how vulnerable we are if we don't believe in ourselves. You see, like the Bahamas being a tourist destination, I always tell people the arts should be at the forefront. Just like in Cuba, I visited Cuba before. And when I came back home, I realized, like, man, we joking. Because when I was in Cuba, I felt I was in Cuba, you know? It was like everything was different. The music everywhere, the food was authentic, the whole culture, you know, it made me feel like.
Yeah, they're truly submerged in their culture.
Yeah, and I think that's what you should be submerged in if you depend on tourism. You make tourism the number one industry, man. The culture should be forefront because back then those folks returned to the Bahamas just because of entertainers and bands. That's how powerful it is. And like, it's proven every election season. The musicians are called out because they realize the power in the music.
Amen.
I've been telling the musicians too, it's like, hey, they realize, the politicians realize the power in the music, but it seems like we don't realize it because the unity that's needed to take it further is missing. And you talk about the past compared to now, that's one of the things, the unity that we had back then, the love of the craft back then. Because what had happened is like, as time changed, like somebody was telling me a story the other day, like tourists, they visited all over this island. They were up in like Fox Hill, Live Barn, all of them. But what happened was that the hotels started to employ these fantastic entertainers and musicians into the hotels. That's how come they ended up in the lobbies and stuff. A lot of those bands were playing over the hill. And the tourists used to go over the hill. So when they bought the musicians and entertainers in the lobby, it's like, hey, everybody started flocking to the hotels.
Right.
And killed the little business, like the little jungle clubs and the little holiday inns. I mean,
The little culture club.
Yeah, I say holiday inn. I mean, like there was a club called Holiday something. I don't know.
I can't help you. Somebody like Obi could help us.
yeah. Obi had like a lot of knowledge and that type of thing. But yeah, but back in the days, a lot of Bahamians don't realize how fantastic the music industry was and the entertainment industry. And I think we fell down by not preserving it and like documentary and teaching it to our kids. I think that's one of the main problems we have as Bahamians. Like we do not teach.
Free your mind, Geno. Free it.
Yeah, we do not teach our story. So the young ones coming up and they're not exposed to it. They cannot appreciate if all the heroes are for American, whoever. They never see a Bahamian up there on that same pedestal.
Right.
And like even with the entertainment, that's what I preach too in the background a lot of years. That hey man, the authorities that be. Why when you all have a foreign act, you put 100% behind it, but a Bahamian act you want to go halfway. So therefore, you see a foreign act. They have everything they need. They have the lights, the sound, all pump and pageantry. But then you want to just, hey, just do this and that. Oh, no matter. I want some lights and stuff. No, man. So the person who's watching it, that may be the first time they see Geno D.
Real.
Like they say, your first impression not lasting. If you don't present your craft and professional way, you could lose a whole generation. I think that's what happened.
So now that the industry is doing a real paradigm shift, and you mentioned the fact that the music as it was is not being preserved, would you say that it's lost?
Well, it's not complete. We still have an opportunity. Like I said, if we are wise, we'll realize that post-pandemic, when we get over this, I think we should really put 100% effort into what is Bahamian. Because that's the only thing you're going to have at the end of the day. At least that's what it's showing me. It's showing me that, look, all you have, son, is your culture. And then if you want to sell that to tourism, if you want to compete in the market with Jamaica and Trinidad and them, you got to love and present what is yours. It's like you want me to survive in a place where, okay, for example, in a room, right? You have Jamaica, Barbados, or
Go put Cuba too.
Yeah, and like, all right, I said, Jamaica, what you have? And man, the reggae thing and blah blah. They got their wear. You got a whole brand. When you hear reggae music anywhere in the world, you think of Jamaica.
Absolutely.
The beaches and blah blah. When you hear soca, you think of Trinidad. Understand? So we're still trying to determine what is Bahamian music in 2021. Some people call it Jonko, some say Rake and Scrape, some say Kombe. So that shows you that we fall down and like, finding what is ours. So when you hear this type of music, you think of the Bahamas. We can't be ashamed to present our stuff. And that's what I've been all about all my life. Keep the vibe alive. Understand? That's what it's all about.
Geno, you're absolutely right. And something needs to be done and done fast. But let's look at the history of Bahamians that have made it on the worldwide stages with the fact that they've fuse the music, the T Connections, the Johnny Kemps, and the list goes on. Um, do you think we have a better chance at this point with fused music? As history has already shown and the track record has already been set, that we can find success internationally.
Right. See, like I said earlier, if you don't believe in what you have, you cannot develop it properly. See, for example, I'm not saying that don't play that type of music or don't fuse it. I'm saying, for example, when I look at John Canoe, right? When I get in a conversation with certain John Canoe, I say, man, I don't like the plastic tom-toms, right?
Okay, you want authentic.
Yeah, they'll say, you know, they instead of change place of the sponge and then it was brass, now it's like that. I say, but I think you should evolve, but not by dropping what is yours. In other words, you should develop that to the point that other people want to have that. So I'm saying evolve, but evolve with the goat skin drum, which is yours. Don't just drop it. Say, let's say you go, we shake the cowbell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Example. So you gotta be careful with this. We shake our cowbell. So we go to Trinidad, we see them hitting the cowbell with a stick. Nothing wrong with you, I mean, doing that, but you don't drop shaking your cowbell, hitting your cowbell with a stick, then you're not authentic anymore. When you drop your goat skin drum to pick up a tom you can buy at any shop in America.
Samash.
Anymore. We catering to tourism. So what brings the tourist back is our authenticity, you see?
But guess what? Now, let me just interject right here. On the flip side to what you just said, even vendors and hoteliers and a whole lot of people have this misconception that tourists want what's familiar to them. And if you talk to a vendor, let's say downtown, they're playing American music, they're playing Jamaican music, they're playing music that they feel is more familiar to that tourist, and you insert country here. And the food, how do we change this misconception at this point?
Trust me. I think whoever thinks that, thinking wrong. The evidence is there. When you go back and see where tourism was, right? Even though it wasn't as many visitors as now because the population increased. But what brought the tourists here was the authentic Bahamian thing. So just like I said earlier, if you don't introduce, for example, Reagan spray to young people, they can never like it. So they never hear it. How can they like it? If they've been hearing, like, let's say, hearing reggae all their life, and mind you, I love all these forms of music. Speaking for the branding, because I know we're in the market of tourism, right?
Yes.
And I feel like our stuff is just as good as any in the world. And we've proven that over the years. For example, our athletes, right? And that's another thing too. When we talk about appreciation, I don't think we appreciate our athletes enough. For example, a young boy sitting in primary school should know who Elijah Obed is, man. Who had them Bristol and all these people who did things that
so who do we hold accountable at this point?
Well, I think in a way we have to hold all ourselves accountable, because I mean, you have a duty to teach it to your kids at home too, and then the government and the leaders. So as a people, I think we've all fell down in appreciating what is ours. And I think that's part of the reason why we are suffering more than we should. For example, we've been caught with our so-called pants down during this pandemic. At this point in 2021, we cannot feed ourselves, right? With all this land we have and growing and talking about as a child, and now I can remember my grandmother coming to the field with a crocus sack of watermelon, all these things, cabbage, all these things she growing in the field. And like, what was so good about it, everybody had a field, right? And they still respected each other, that there was no fence around it. But I know if that's the Empress field, yeah, I can see a nice juicy watermelon that's all to be picked. But I'm not going to pick that because it's a time of honor. But that's gone out the window.
Oh yeah, man. The real owner coming for it.
Yeah, we catch our own fish, you understand? So what COVID-19 is about to do is to go back to basics, son. You notice, like a lot of people now backyard farming again. So you've been forced to go back to what's working. And I think once we proud of what is Bahamian, the fusion can come in. Just like reggae. Reggae wasn't always this sound that we hear.
Exactly.
Right? They call it ska, but what they did, they didn't drop ska. They developed, they built on ska, built on it, bring this little bit. So what I'm saying, the fusion is good, but don't fuse it to the point that you drop what it is. So you got to keep, the foundation.
Say nothing else, Geno. We're going to take a quick break right here. Free your mind on a Thursday. Geno D, right here on your hit station. We are Star 106 Hits.
Precious fruits, vegetables, meat, seafood, dairy, and grocery.
Last lap, Geno. Last lap. We got 10 minutes.
Chesapeake Road. Download the grocery app in your Google Play or Apple Store and let them bring your grocery to you. That's Discount Distributors. Call 601-0213.
Me and the wife been up at Enterprises the other day looking for some parts for the yacht. We found something we like and I go on to spin around so I could get a full 360-degree sight. Well, when I go on to turn that part, I turn the wife and say, it's a good thing I put on my tight drawers today.
Hey.
The feed I had first dropped out.
How are you?
The feed I had first on the stream yard.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped out.
Yeah, but because I have it up in the studio, they could still hear you.
Oh, okay.
They still listening to you right now and commenting. You just can't read the comments because you ain't on it. But yeah.
You let me know.
Wait, do it again, You know I down for that.
Somebody count with me, but I guess I told you just one audio.
Yeah, man. We
can do it again sometime.
Okay, good. See, your voice is one of those that people know I ain't flamming. They notice you.
Yeah, man, you gotta be real.
They notice you.
Yeah.
They notice you. That's right. Here we go. Let me play a little piece of one real quick.
80s, 90s, and now.
Bam! You hear that voice? I see some Davises popping up on the screen. I love it. Oh, what y'all thought? The Davises run things. I run into the chorus.
I think the golden rule. I had the passion to girl from was in high school. But boy, you did the deal because I never told ya. Now we got the big freedom. I told ya. But oh, girl, if I had you, the things that we could do. Girl, if I had you.
Star 106 Hits music in from today's featured artist, the one and only Geno D. And boy, very, very interesting conversation. It's great to find out exactly what stalwarts like yourself think of today's industry. Now, in terms of improving during COVID, in terms of making it world renowned, where we are right now, what do you suggest we do?
So far as music,
Yeah.
boy,
I know we could be here all day.
Yeah, COVID is devastating us, man. I mean, we had to, I don't know, like, the music industry right now is in shambles, okay? Because as long as we cannot gather, we cannot be like how we used to be before. So we have to make some adjustments, which I think we're doing now. As the curve flattens, so to speak, I think, the music industry will gradually come back. Because I'm seeing like a lot of places now, they start to, do a little something with following protocol rules. So it only can get better. It depends on what happens with this rollout and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's much more we can do other than wait right now. Because, like, for example, as long as the tourism industry is in dire straits, I think, like the music industry, it automatically suffer. You see, because most of us depend, at least us like myself, we are tied directly or indirectly into tourism, because all the festivals and stuff like that, the goddess and stuff. It's like tourist oriented, and like I haven't worked at anything like that from last March. My last gig was Heritage Fest.
Wow.
Everything on the calendar felt like dominoes, you know?
Wow.
That's another thing, man. I feel like the powers that be should have done a little bit more for the artists and entertainers, especially the ones that promote the Bahamas. There was not even a little $500 stimulus, you know?
Nothing. Zero.
No. And like other countries I've seen, like New Zealand and stuff, they provided their artists and then whatnot, their creators with a stimulus, man, you know, to keep them going. Because like the old people used to say, loose goats don't know how tired goats feel.
That's right.
A lot of the people who are making the decisions, if they could go over and experience what a lot of these families are going through, man, it's like I think they'll have to change your heart, tell you the truth, if they're human.
Man, so you want me to ask the question? Where's your heart?
Yeah, which is soul. You gotta have that, man, because I mean, you gotta have that love for the people, you know.
And not only just for the people, but like you mentioned, the people that continuously, keep the Bahamas on the map.
Yeah. And see, I mean, I can say it anyhow, you know.
Free your mind.
Yeah, I mean, let me free my mind to the politicians, man, you know.
Correct it.
Politicians are down. You can find me, and you can find all of my neighbors in a matter of weeks. But after you get there in 5 years, you're gonna find me no more.
Hello, you forget where I live.
Come on. If I was an MP, I'm sure if I can visit all my constituents in a matter of weeks, I should be able to do it in 5 years.
Say that again, Geno.
Yeah, if I can visit them in 5 weeks, all the whole constituency and all the polling division in every house, I should be able to do that in 5 years. You don't think so?
You should have been able to do laps.
Exactly. See, that's where we felt like we gotta be in tune with the people, man. And like this music industry is gonna come back, you know. Everything is good. That's how the cycle of life is. Like the Bible says, with 7 years farming, 7 years of reaping the harvest.
Yes.
I think we'll be on that part of the sine wave now. We'll be catching eternal hell, but like they say, it's silver lining. I can see it happening. This too shall pass, in other words.
Now, mind you, where the new wave of the industry is right now with the new artists, the millennials, they seem to be utilizing the internet and all these streaming avenues in order to get their music out. They're not waiting for the regattas. They're not waiting for the next what you call it? What the thing name again? When the politicians them doing their thing. For some reason, the word is just slipping.
Yeah.
But anyway, the rallies, Geno.
Yeah.
Right? They're not waiting for that. They're doing them regardless. But here's the thing. They are fusing the music. They're doing whatever they feel, whether it be, and I'll call some names and you tell me what you really think. The Dyson Knights and the Wendy's and the even MDs back, rest in peace to MDs. Those that were still and will always be Bahamian, but fusing the music with other genres to see that if they could get some kind of international appeal. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I'm all for, like I say, the music growing. I know things can't stay the same, but see, we got to be careful. If you call it fusion, just like playing, for example, if you play in reggae or soca and you put a cowbell in it, right? That don't make it Bahamian. Or if you spank a ghost skin drum. So I think the problem is, like I said earlier, we're trying to define what is Bahamian music. I think once we define what is Bahamian music, it'll be easier for us to deal with, you know?
Yeah, but Geno, everybody keeps saying that same thing. Everybody that I talk to say, yeah, once we figure out what it is, but who's making the move to really figure it out? 10, 20 years from now, we still trying to figure?
No, see, I mean, that's because, like I say, once you don't appreciate what you have, it'll always be a problem. Because like the younger generation coming, remember I said, if they're not exposed to it,
truly,
they're not going to appreciate it. So that cuts the development of it. Like, you cut it down before it grows into anything. You say, ain't nothing can come of this. Right? But you got to let that tree grow. Then you can pick the fruits. Because if you chop it down and you get discouraged before, because like Then you check songs, Stevie Wonder and them songs, right? Michael Jackson. These guys, you can hear the jungle influence in them. And see another thing too, why I don't really hit hard or that people do different genres of music.
Tell me.
When you go deeper, right, you realize that as an African, I'm talking about myself, right? All these are my rhythms.
That's right. You own them.
If you want to go deep now,
let's do it.
These are my rhythms. These are rhythms on the same tree. There's different branches, you know.
Amen.
Go out to the roots like hey, soca. I love, you know what I always tell people? I don't never knock. So I cannot knock that. Any of these music, I did all those music. I was influenced by soca, reggae. I had opportunity to meet Bob Marley during when I was employed at there, and he was very influential in my music also. And
wow,
the reggae side of me, a lot of people who knew me, you know, like, you have a little bond. All I sang was reggae.
Stop that.
I can identify with that. I love reggae music. I love Barris. I love Bob. I love all these guys. To the mark, and a lot of their music soothes my soul. So I can never go against that. But I'm saying, like I said before, I am from the Bahamas, right? I ain't knocking these music, but when you come here, I want you to taste my peas and rice and my grouper, right? But you could have all them other stuff, you know. But see, I want to have a dish that say, hey, yeah, you could have your Kentucky fried. Sorry.
That's fine. The KFC is a sponsor.
Yeah, you. Or you could have your whatever, right? But notice, ackee and cod fish. What that tell you?
Say nothing else. You know that's Jamaica.
Okay, flying fish and whatever they call.
Barbados.
Okay. So now, what we have as a Bahamian?
It's a trick question, eh?
Club salad. But I'm trying to stay here. You must start with brand, man.
Yes, indeed.
Music. But if a tourist cannot identify us with just the sound as they can do in reggae,
we have a problem.
Fusion is killing what you're trying to do. You see, it becomes blurred. Mind you, it's great music and everything like that, right? Talking about the music.
Gino, you know we're gonna need a part 2, right? Because we basically wrapping up.
Oh, we're wrapping up, yeah.
That's how it is when you're free in your mind, you don't even realize what it is. What I do suggest, and I think you and I need to do a part 2, and we will do that in short order because we can't just leave. This is like one of them movies that leave you hanging. But
yeah.
What I think we need to do is seriously consider a real ministry of culture. I get the youths, I get the sports, but overall, some real focus on the culture.
So potent just now. In fact, that's something I have in mind, right?
You want me and you run it?
It's a ministry, man. They always like brush it aside, but I think it's so important. The way we live, right?
Absolutely. Culture is what a people is.
Right.
Anyway, Gino, you know what? Let's pause for the cause right there. We're gonna formulate and we're gonna figure out the next date. We got to do a part 2 of this. I had a wonder. It's been my pleasure having you on today's show. It was so insightful. It was so nostalgic, and I look forward to part 2. Simply put.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Cuz. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed myself, man.
I love that. And I promise the next time they'll be able to see you as well.
Oh yeah. Definitely, I was going to say that next time I want to be on the camera.
All right, so let's plan that off air. But thank you so much, Mr. Davis. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Tony Williams, and the whole crew, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. There you have it, people. The one and only Geno D. And as I said, I do promise a part 2 on that. When you get to talk to, some of the veterans in this game, they have a story to tell, and I want to hear it. I know you do too. So stay tuned. I'm going to bring that second part 2 of Geno D, right here on your hit station. We're Star 106 Hits. Keep it locked, top of the hour, 5 o'clock. Your drive at 5 with yours truly, and DJ AI comes your way.
Knocked it away from Tampa.
Alrighty. What happened, Sean? Not no piece of rice, macaroni, pork chop, and corn. I ain't eating that. Oh man, see y'all.